All right, guys, we are back with another special guest, Mr. Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. And, really excited for this conversation today because, guys, he has an 8-figure roofing business and really doing amazing things and helping a lot of people, through his coaching, through his book, through his podcast, and, really the definition of what I would call a go-giver, helping people in the community, scaling up their businesses as well. So it's going to be a super fun conversation. But Jason, before we get into all of that, I'd love for you to share, your background, your story of, okay, well, you've built this amazing business today, but how the heck did this start and get into everything that you're doing now? And then we'll just kind of start riffing through some things that you've learned on the way.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm LDS and went to high school. I was like the social butterfly, the jock athlete. Sucked at school, like maybe a 2.8 at best. And got through school, went on a mission, and I went to Mexico City, learned Spanish. So I had that in my back pocket, which is very helpful, especially in Arizona with the Latino culture and the construction industry, right? So came back, did landscaping for about a year, making $12.50 an hour. Working for somebody, and then my uncle called me, who owns a 40-year-old roofing company here in the valley, and his son, who was working for him, said, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm moving out of town, and I need someone to run the production side of it." And I said, "Okay." And first one to speak loses, right? And so he's like, "How much you make an hour?" I was like, $12.50 an hour. I'm 21 years old, 22, and he's like, "We'll pay you $14 an hour," and I'm like, "Boom, let's go." And dead serious. The scarcity mindset was a real thing. And yeah, so from there, went to work for my uncle, put my head down, and grinded it out doing the production side of things via roofing. Zero roofing knowledge. Zero. My dad has been doing flooring, so I knew the blue collar entrepreneurial. He didn't have a big operation. It was him, and I think he had one sales guy and a couple install crews and whatnot, but nothing crazy. But flooring, not roofing. So I literally learned it from scratch. Just asked a shit ton of questions every single day. Why this? Why that? Asking crews, asking suppliers, asking manufacturers, asking neighbors, asking other roofers. Social media wasn't really a thing that it is now. But Google and YouTube are still a thing, obviously. So, yeah, I just grinded it out for 5 years in the production space and then wanted to make more money. He's like, you do this thing called sales. And I'm like, okay, what does that look like? And but you can't quit your production job because nobody wants to do your production job, and it doesn't pay anything. I'm like, yeah, that's why I want to do it again to sales. So it's like you have to do both. I'm like, fine, not a problem. So working 60, 70 hours a week in production, and I still sold part time. Fast forward 3 more years, I'm a sales manager. I got about 5 or 6 guys underneath me. And I think we peaked at about 5 million in revenue from 1.8 when I got there. And then tried to buy into the company. Didn't work out, and so I said peace out. Left and did outside sales. And for those that can understand the power of this, I didn't know this. It was kind of cool. Now you look back, is I went and did outside sales for another roofing company, and he gave me 2 more percentage points to bring in my own leads. And I said, I don't want 1 lead from your company. I'll generate all my own leads. He's like. And in roofing, if you know the roofing game, especially retail residential, you don't generate your own leads unless you're like 100% door knocking. The company provides you the leads, and you go run those leads, right? And I said, no, I will take care of all the leads. I don't want any leads, but I want 2 more points. And he said, deal. And I did 1.8 million in 12 months working for this guy, self-lead generated. And yeah, with literally just leaving. So
Great deal for him. He's probably stoked.
Oh, dude, I'm like, okay, so your marketing budget, just ballpark 7%, whatever your CAC is, right? Customer acquisition costs. I'm like, I took care of all of that, right? And so he's probably 7 to 10% into this thing, and I'm like, just give me 2. He's like, dude, that's a deal all day long. And I could have asked for probably 5, and he still would have given it to me, right? So I was definitely his most profitable sales rep that year for sure. So, yeah, but I told him from day one I wanted to start my own roofing company. I just didn't know when. A lot of people say, I want to start my own business, and they talk about it, and they never do it. Fast forward 2, 5, 10 years, and they're still at the same place. They're still working for somebody else. But I always had that goal, and I don't know how long, but I lasted about 13 months total there while I was bootstrapping State 48. And had a baby, bought a house, bought a truck, and started a business all within 30 days of each other in August of 2019, right before COVID. So, yeah.
Beautiful timing.
Oh yeah, yeah, royal shit show. But dude, that's yeah. When you become an entrepreneur, like there's levels of stress that people can't even comprehend. But when you do it day in and day out, it becomes the standard. Like your standard stress level is what would cripple and just destroy others. I was so used to it for many years before that, and so yeah, just you put your head down. And I have the mentality of like, dude, like quitting is not an option, and just figure it out. So.
Yeah, I love that. It's like you get calloused, like your stress levels get more and more calloused to handle more and more stress levels, and things that used to bother you years ago, it's like now it's just like, oh, that's interesting. Moving on. It's just
Yeah, yeah, like people being outside, it's 110, and I'm like, it's only 110. I've been at 121 before, and I'm up on a roof, right? So some people walk outside, man, I was sitting by the beach with a pina colada for 3 hours, and it was so hot, and I'm like, yes, please grab your small violin and tell me how hot it is. But then, my guys are up on a roof, 7 days a week, 110, the roof's almost 200 degrees, melting their shoes, and they wake up the next day and do it all over again. So like I said, those callous, both the stress ones, the financial ones, and the physical ones, they're a real thing. So
yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about for a second. So the journey from it started to getting to that first million a year, because that's where, as we talked about briefly before, it's like people get stuck there. It's like they get stuck in that journey from 0 to a million. What do you tell people they need to be focusing on the most? Like obviously there's everything that has to be worked on, but what do you think are the biggest things that help people get from 0 to a million the fastest, and that people need to be focusing more time on?
So I did a million in 5 months. So I started in August of 2019 legally on August 1st, and by the end of the year we did $1 million, and then and then in 2020 we did 3.7. But that first million is understanding that you cannot do everything. You just can't, even if you want to, and you're that skilled and you're that of a badass in X category or profession or industry. You have capacity. The second you start a business, you have capacity issues in every department. Because you need 4 or 5 different departments, 40 hours a week. That's 200 hours, and there's not even that one. There's not that many hours in a day, let alone sleeping and being a human. Maybe you're married, maybe you have kids, your personal life, all that goes to shit, right? So you automatically understand that you have capacity issues. So Grant Cardone taught me that the 2 things that you never give up are sales and marketing. Everything else you delegate. And so as soon as possible, you get people to help you run the production side of things. You don't do the production. You hire and train and delegate the production, the doing of X, whether it's the flooring or the roofing or the plumbing, the HVAC. You go and do that. So I did the sales. I hired Dory, my COO, from day one. She was my office manager at the time, and I said, "You do anything with paper or email, you do all that shit." Like I was like the insurances, the audits, the paperwork, the taxes, this thing called payroll. Like I don't want nothing to do with it. I was like, but I will go sell. I will kill all the deer. I will, and I'll go find it, kill it. But like you package it, make it look pretty, and then put it in the freezer for me. She's like, deal. But a lot of us, we want to like I wasn't even scheduling my first appointment. When someone would call, hey, State 48 Roofing, you wouldn't get me. You would get my office. You would get Dory, because that is something that she can do, but she can't do or was not assigned to do production or sales. That was my job. So I go out there and so you have to understand, like, know what you're really good at, and then continue to hire and delegate in all the other departments as quickly as possible. You can use AI nowadays. You can use VAs, right? Just part-time people. People think you have to bring on this person that's $80,000 salary with benefits and 401ks and all the bull crap. Dude, bring somebody in part-time, right? Maybe just a Monday and a Wednesday, or 4 hours a day. Just check in. Hey, you work from 8 to 12, and because you have cash. The second you start a business, you have cash flow problems too, right? So we have to do that. But what you have to do is you have to understand that you focus on the things that move the needle, which is marketing and sales. Because if you have money, money solves problems. If you don't have money, you're deep shit, and everything comes to a screeching halt very, very fast. So you never let your foot off of promoting your business, marketing and closing deals. You do those 3. Everything else There's a book from, I think it's Jen Gottlieb, says everything is figure outable. Like it's a real thing. When you can just continue to promote your business and have that revenue coming in, you can scale very, very quickly because you have the money to delegate to other people to help you grow your business.
Absolutely. So it's people need to be focusing more of their time growing up to that in marketing and sales. Like an outsized amount of their calendar should just be marketing and sales activities, and everything else they should be giving to someone else on their team or outsourcing, delegating everything else out, and just sheerly just going all in on marketing and sales. So let me ask you this: what do you say to that person that's, maybe they're not very good at sales, and what would you tell them that, is that something that's like, hey, like go out and recruit like the best salespeople you could find at that stage to see if they could help them? Like, what do you tell that person that maybe they're just freaking dialed at marketing? Maybe they can get the leads, but they're not so good at selling. How does that person win?
So, as an entrepreneur, you have to be good at sales, or you can't start a business because then you don't have any sales, right? So, I think we get the label or the definition of sales kind of mixed up. We think like, three-piece suit and tie or slick back ponytail at the car dealership or whatever. It's like, what if you're just a good human and you go and say your roof is bad, your HVAC's bad, your flooring's bad, your plumbing's bad, and this is what it's going to cost? And they say, yeah, go ahead and get it done. That is literally a sale. Right?
Yeah.
We don't see it as a sale because we're wearing boots, right? We wear these things called boots, and we're not wearing these, we're not wearing, Gucci freaking leather sandal bullshit stuff, right? But we think that way, and the mindset is much more of when you understand both marketing. I think the biggest thing is if you can diagnose a problem and you can solve people's problems and attach a dollar amount to it. I think that is probably, not probably, in my opinion, it's much easier than it is to actively and intentionally promote your business on a daily business to go and get new customers. Because I hear people, especially realtors, right? I am 100% referral only. And I'm like, that's a terrible business plan. Terrible business plan. Because what about all the new, I call it fresh meat. Like where's the fresh meat? Where's the fresh deals? Where's the fresh leads? Where's the people that have never heard about us, never contracted with us? They don't know who we are, or they know who we are, but they've never done a deal with us or done a roof with us or done a whatever, right? And what are you doing to put yourself out there in order to get their attention? Because if you're doing the referral game, that's great. But you have a whole entire another branch, right, or revenue stream of new, fresh leads or people that need your services, want your services. They just don't know who you are. And what we do is we just focus on, I'm just really good at what I do, and I've been doing this forever, and people that know me, they're going to call me, and my friends refer me, my family, my dad, my mom refer me, and that's my business plan. Like you have to understand that you have to be doing, not just, there's multiple streams, right? But those are in my opinion, the two biggest ones of like keep doing what you've been doing in order to start your business, because you had to have some sort of something going on along those lines, or if you buy a company, like whatever their model is. But then apart from that, what are you doing to go get new fresh meat, new fresh business? And then Hermosi talks about that 4 hours a day you need to be promoting your business, not diagnosing the roof, not getting in the attic, not going to the dump. Like 4 hours of you being behind a camera, wherever my iPhone is, right? Get your freaking iPhone and go into this thing called the Gram, right? Or the Facebook or the TikTok or whatever, or YouTube, and press record and upload that stuff onto there. It doesn't cost you a freaking dollar. So you don't have to worry about, I got to hire a marketing agency for $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month or whatever. Dude, it's all free. I do $1 million a year in free, raw, organic Instagram and Facebook.
I love this so much. And I think, the interesting thing about that is like that 4 hours a day of working to actually promote and get new business in the door. I think a lot of people, they just underestimate the amount of sheer volume they have to do to actually get new business coming in the door. I was talking to a guy. He has a property management business, and he was, talking to me. He's like, man, like I'm just struggling to grow. And I was like, well, what are you doing? He's going through these things, and he's like, I'm doing, mailers. And I was like, well, how many mailers are you doing? And he's like, dude, I'm sending out like 150 a month, and I'm literally getting no responses. And I was like, 150 a month? I was like, what did you think was going to happen from sending 150 mailers a month? And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't really, I just figured like if I'm mailing to these, complexes that I'm going to get new business. I'm like, dude, like your amount of response rate on mailers is like a 0.001 or percent or like 0.1% would be like, you'd be like celebrating. I'm like, dude, like do the math. Like you're going to get like one call every like 6 months, maybe from the
Right.
amount that you're doing. I'm like, I think people just don't understand the amount of volume you actually need to do to like get momentum actually coming into their business. And
This is what you need. Send this to your buddy. Send him a free calculator and say, business is math, and 150 mailers does not make sense. It put whatever number you want in here. It does not make sense, bro. It doesn't. People, we underestimate how long it takes to be successful or to get momentum, and how hard we need to work in order to get those results. We think it takes. Hermosi said it today. I was listening to this morning. He's like, most of the time you really just need to like 2 or 3x your business of what you're doing, but you should be 10xing it, because if what your version of 10x is versus Cody Barton's version of 10x is versus Grant Cardone's version of what 10x is, you all have different results. Because what you think is your 10x is really like a 2 or a 3. That's why you're getting your 150 mailers. Like I just laughed out loud. I'm like, well, I was like, I do 10,000 a quarter, and I think that's 0.001% effective. And I'm doing
yeah,
10,000, every 90 days. I'm doing 40,000, and I think that's dog shit. He's doing
yeah.
150 and thinks he should be getting, people just be coming sitting on his lap like Santa Claus to get deals. Dude, unrealistic expectations, bro.
Yeah. And the sad thing is it's like sometimes like they don't even know, like he didn't even know that was bad. He's like, I didn't have a reference point to even go off of. And I think, a lot of people don't have that. And I think to your comments on like the realtor thing, and people are like, I just do business off referrals, man. Like that is like the scariest way to do business. Like referrals should come out of like doing good business with your customers. Like there should be a referral motion to try to get customers. That's kind of like the gravy on top of everything. But like not having like just going referrals, like your business is just like one month you get good referrals, the next month you get bad, you don't get enough referrals. And it's like you're just like feast or famine based off of that.
It's unpredictable, right?
No.
I think of my buddy Cam Bodden, who just sold Green Mango for like $98 million, right? Sold it for a couple of bucks. Even then, he has a gangster referral program, but even then, he was still paying John, Jay, and Rich $20,000 a month for radio, right? Which is not a referral program,
Yep.
right? So, but like I said, you can't just bank on referrals. If you do that, there's no consistency in it. So it comes and it's good and it helps, and you can make a couple bucks obviously with your referral program, but that cannot be your only like marketing plan.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So let's talk about this for like the home service space for a second. And, obviously there's different things that you could do for marketing. What do you see as like the tiers of things people should do in their marketing strategy, right? Like, is it they start with Google, they add on Meta, they add on mailers, they add on like what is like the first marketing channel you think from a paid side people should do, and then like what should they stack for, as they get better results with that first channel?
Dude, like crazy enough, even before social media, the very first thing I would do is I would wrap my truck. 5,000
Yeah.
bucks, wrap your vehicle. Very first thing. I would be like, oh, well, you spent $5,000 on ads. Nope. Wrap your truck. Because I can multi-purpose my truck, and everywhere I go, if I'm trying to hit, a 5 or 10 square mile radius or anywhere I'm working, if I'm driving that truck around, it's going to pay for itself 1,000 fold, right? We get leads. I just got a lead in Awatuki because one of my quality control guys was sitting outside. My crew wasn't there yet. The trailer wasn't there yet. Our sign wasn't in the yard yet. But I had a beautiful truck with a wrap sitting there waiting for my guys to show up as we were going to start a new job. And there's a guy at his rental property in the cul-de-sac, saw my truck, was like, that's a beautiful truck and a great wrap. Boom, calls me. I just signed him up for like 19,000 bucks. He's never heard of us.
Yeah.
Doesn't know who I am. Not a referral. Not my
Yeah.
cousin. Like nothing. He's just like, that's a beautiful truck. That's a beautiful wrap. And I went and closed him. And so, like that, the very, very first thing we'll do is wrap your vehicle. Now, if you can't afford a $5,000 wrap, and you can do quarters or 3/4 wraps for, $2,500, $2,000, $3,000. But the first like $2,500 I would do is get something on that vehicle, because in blue collar, have you ever gone? Do you go to someone's? No one goes to your brick and mortar to get your roof replaced. No one goes to your brick and mortar. You don't need. You can have a piece of shit brick and mortar in the beginning. It don't fucking matter, because no one's going to your brick and mortar to go buy your AC unit. Your AC unit is at their house.
Yeah.
You need to go up to their house. Another thing I would do is I would make sure you have your swag 100% dialed in. Never, ever, 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 ever wear. Oh, I don't have anything in front of me. Yeah, this guy right here. Like, see this thing? This thing has never cut me a check. This guy right here.
Yeah.
Phil Knight never cut me a check. Crazy enough, right?
Yeah.
But everybody has a big old fat Nike, logo on their shirt and all that stuff. I'm like, bro. I was like, Phil Knight doesn't cut you a check. Why are you wearing his shit, bro? I just don't get it. So stop wearing other people's shit unless they're helping you like build and grow and scale your business. I wear like 2 or 3 people's brands other than mine. Other than that, no freaking way. I did it forever. I was like, oh, this is so cool, and the ALO and the Lulu and the whatever bullshit. I'm like, you can wear their clothes, but like make sure that this is the attention getter. This is the conversation starter, because this thing cuts your check, not whatever side of this. I think I don't even know what shirt. I think it's the Nike or Under Armour. The point being is your swag game needs to be dialed in and on point, and you can do it. It's very, very affordable, by the way. You can get bougie.
Oh yeah.
But very, very affordable. No, that'll be number 2. So rapper truck, 2 swag, business cards, that kind of stuff. And then number 3 is, dude, social media, bro. Social media all freaking day long. You can do I don't do TikTok personally. Actually, I do, but I have an agency that does it kind of like on the side. But like hard. Facebook and Instagram. It doesn't cost you a freaking dollar. There's no limit on how much you can post, what you can post, promoting your business, whether it's going live, whether it's stories, whether it's reels, whether it's posts, collaborations, tags. Like, dude, you can post as many times as you want. My buddy Bradley talks about posting 4 times a day. 4 times a day. Most of us, if you go back, we post once a week, and same thing. Just like your same buddy that does 150 flyers probably did like, well, I did 1 post in February and I didn't get anything. So yeah, social media sucks and doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my business, bro. You're on crack. Like, dude, 1 post. Yeah, no way.
The funny thing is too is like I think people sometimes are like, oh, I don't want to annoy people. People like when you're posting about your business, you get more annoyed with your own content than other people even like know about it. Like I was talking to a buddy of mine that, this is like a buddy that I haven't seen in a few years, and is asking about what I'm doing, and I was telling him about the consulting, and he's like, oh, I didn't even know you're doing that. And I'm like, dude, you follow me on Instagram, like you see, like I'm posting on my stories, like I post like testimonials and case studies and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, how'd you not know? But it's like, that's the reality, is like people are just out there in their own world. So it's like you have to like be like hammering the message over and over and over and over for them to see it one time.
Dude, well, and that's the thing is we think my content is so good or so this or so that. Don't forget, like the social media platforms are trying to put millions of pieces of content in front of your face every single day. So you're competing against those guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what it comes down to is you just don't have enough volume to get in front of them. And one, they have their own lives, right? So even if you have a great post, like I don't care, I'm struggling with my wife, or I'm busy, or I'm tired, or I'm working out, or I got kids, or my car broke down, whatever. But yes, let me go focus on Cody Barton's cool post he did about his consulting business, dude. Like, what freaking planet are you on, bro? Like, they're just, and we have such a short attention span that you have to get in front of them multiple times every single day, every day, 24/7, 365. I read a study, it's probably a couple years ago, but like, who doesn't know what Target is? Like, everybody knows what Target is. Who doesn't know what Walmart is? Or how about Home Depot, right? And those guys, B with a billion, they spend billions of dollars on marketing and advertising a year. And they are the most, Costco, right? They are the most juggernaut businesses in the world, not even the country, in the world.
Yep.
And they still think it's important to invest in billions with a B in marketing and advertising on a yearly basis. But we think with my $500,000 or $1 or $2 or $10 million business that like, oh yeah, everybody knows who I am. I've been doing this for 25 years, or I'm doing $10 million a year. Everybody knows who I am. I don't need to spend money. Dude, you're a freaking idiot. I don't know how else to say it. You just are. We just think our egos are so blown up that they think that, dude, I'm posting all the time. Everybody should know who I am, what I'm doing. They should be watching every piece of content that I'm putting out. Bro, they'll see one out of maybe 100.
Yeah.
And assuming that's a good one, right? And then something else pops up, right? And then you're forgotten. That's why the word consistency is the key thing with mailers, with Google, with ads, with whatever. Even Hermosi said it the other day. Even the best ad that has made him millions plural of dollars, eventually loses its sizzle. Yep. Even the best steaks don't taste good after a while, right? So that's why you have to keep it fresh, right? You have to keep it coming day in and day out, over and over and over again, because you have to. Things are going to change. Everything changes, right? The government, politics, school systems, your industry, right? This thing called tariffs and this guy named Trump, and like shit's changing like crazy. You have to stick with the times and stay relevant more than anything, and stay top of mind, because you might not need a roof now, right? But when it rains, or when you go to sell your house, or when something happens, or you have a tile fall off and hit the ground, are you top of mind to where they remember who you are and the credibility, and you're a known and a trusted source? Then they will potentially they still might not call you, but that's where you have to stay. The goal is to stay top of mind more than anything.
Absolutely. I freaking love it. It's the it's the intensity of the consistency. It's just like being aggressive in that consistency over and over again, day in, day out. And so it's spending the money to, wrap the car, wrap the truck. It's getting your branding, be walking around on your branding all the time. Then it's the social media, the posting, and, consistency of that content coming out over and over again. And then now someone's done that. What's the next thing? Do you say, you mentioned you're doing mailers. Would you say to that person like, hey, you should start now doing mail because you're doing these other things well, or you should spend money on Meta or spend money on Google? Like what do you typically recommend to people as they're moving through that series of, marketing and branding that you've already discussed?
Well, true story. I never spent $1 on a Facebook or Instagram ad until we were doing over 10 million in revenue.
That's amazing. I love that.
I didn't know how to run an ad. Swear my life. Until we were doing 10 million. So these guys that like out the gate, you want to run it. You can, but I'm like, you haven't even made a dent in your organic reach, let alone that's a cool part though, right? Is ads can give you a reach that your organic content will never, ever, ever do. It took me a while to understand that. I'm like, no. They're like, no, Google and Instagram and Facebook, if you pay, they will put your face and your content in front of people that you're filtered to, right? Your target demographic, that your organic reach will never, ever touch or get to, right? So there is power in running Facebook and Instagram ads. But the other door hangers, crazy. Hey, we're in your neighborhood. Here's the address we're working on. Right. Yeah. And freaking door hangers cost pennies, or 10 cents or 15 cents or whatever. They cost nothing. And you give it to your production team or your sales guys and have them go the canvas, right? Do, 5 to the left, 5 to the right, 5 in front. You go and do that. And then all of a sudden they get a mailer. Heaven forbid you send an email out to your existing list, right? Running a promotion. Hey, if you're a previous customer, we'll give you 10% off monsoon discount or whatever, whatever industry is, right? Yeah. But like doing an email once a week costs you nothing. I mean, in perspective, right? So it's very, very affordable. But what happens is a lot of times, especially in the blue collar space, Cody, especially in the blue collar space, we do a call our one night stands. We go, we flirt with them, we make them look pretty. We go, we sleep with them, and we never talk to them again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was great. See ya. It's like, no. Do you not like the girl? You don't want to like see her again or hang out with her again or take her, take her to a dance or take her to go get a drink again or to dinner. No, just once. Like, dude, that's not a relationship, and that's not sustainable. That's exhausting, by the way. Yeah. If you're on the dating game, thank goodness I've been married for 12 years. I don't have to do that crap anymore. But the point of it being is, we don't reach out to our previous customers that know us, that like us, that trust us, and have proven that they have used our services and that they would use us again. They even left us a 5-star review. Nope. Let's go focus on these new guys. Like, guys, come on. Right? And as simple, like Adam, I add every single one of our previous customers, if I can, to Facebook and Instagram, because then I can see top of mind, because they're on social media. I'm on social media.
Yep.
And if they follow me or my company, they're going to see me every single day. So instead of just a want email, right? Emails are emails at the end of the day. Don't get it wrong. They work, but it's an email, right? There's less intimacy with an email. But like, if you can get them to send them, I use send out cards. Yep. Send them a card, figure out when their birthdays are, figure out when their anniversaries are, those type of things, right? I call it a work anniversary, right? In case I got divorced. So I'm like, happy anniversary. Like, cool, I got divorced 3 months ago. You suck. We call it a work anniversary, or a roof anniversary is what we call it. So, hey, a year ago we did your roof. Hey, let us come out and check it out. Make sure, no other dumb blue collar guys got up and screwed up the roof, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do, from as simple to, like I said, the door hangers are huge, mailers are huge, and none of these are like crazy expensive. They're just not. Nope. But I think it really is, like, figure out what you're good at and what is working, and like put fuel on that, right? Yes. You and I geek out on ads all day long, but like, you run 10 ads and one of them's going, you don't keep putting money and fuel into the other 9. You turn the other 9 off and you go ham on that one. Once you catch a fish, you don't like, well, the fish is going to stay on the hook forever. Let me go look at these other 9 fishing poles. You don't do that. Yeah. You stop what you're doing. You ignore the 9 poles, throw the 9 poles in the lake, and you're like, dude, give me that one. I got the one. Let's hone in. Let's bring him in. Let's get it done. So you take all that energy, all that effort, and you put it into that. That's what I did with social media, and that's what's gotten me like a lot of success and very blessed. But I went ham on that. I wasn't trying to do 19 different things at 10 or 20%. I was like, no, I'm going to go 100% on this thing called Facebook and Instagram and just go ham on it, and get that vertical going. Because a lot of us, we start all of those things, right? We're like, okay, we'll do this, and we'll dip into Meta, and we'll dip into Google, and we'll dip, and then the $150, I'm going to use that forever, by the way, the 150 flyer method. So I'm going to do a freaking podcast just on the 150 flyer method. There's no traction with it, right? There's no, it's like, you go to the gym once a week, bro. You are not going to get skinnier once a week. I promise. Go every Monday. You're going to be sore for the Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, and then you'll be over it. And then Monday, go work out as hard as you can on Monday, and then never do anything. You will not get skinnier. You will not get fit, and you're going to be pissed, and you're just going to be sore because you don't do it, like you said before. Consistency with intensity, right? You have to do it multiple times a day, a week, a month, whatever your strategy is, right? But you have to go all in on whatever that marketing campaign or that structure is. You have to go all out on it. Don't be they call it jack of trades, master of none. Don't try and do 10 things, suck at all of them. Do one really, really freaking well and master it, then entertain a second one.
I absolutely love that, because I think that's where there's a lot of business owners that they go wrong, because they try to do a lot of different marketing channels. Like, they're trying to do 5 different ones, and people don't realize, like, you could go all in on Meta or sending out mailers or the flyers, or it's like you can do one really good and go super deep on that, and you can grow to multiple millions a year on one channel. At some point, it starts to make sense to diversify, just the risk of like channel risk, right? But like, people, especially like under 6 or under 7 figures, like focusing on one and just getting that thing to freaking crank, you're going to have way better results. And then you could diversify channels later. But like, I think a lot of times people they're dabbling, and they're like a little bit of spend on Google, a little bit of spend in mailers, a little bit of spend, on Meta. It's like they're not, like, there's not enough happening for you to get actual consistent results. So I want to segue for a second on, okay, obviously you've built this amazing business now. What are the lessons that you learned around building your team to where you're at now? Like, what are the things that you wish someone had told you years back about building a team the right way, so that hopefully someone else can prevent their own pain and suffering from making the same mistakes?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things, and my CEO literally on the other side of the wall here, she has written down on her dry erase board, no gray areas. So when you have a thing called operating agreements or a contract with that person for whatever, it could be call setting, it could be sales, could be admin, could be production, could be the guys actually doing the roofs. Having that operating agreement with realistic expectations of here's what I want you to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. Here's what I want you to do, and then here's what I want you not to do. Excuse me. Here's what I want you to not touch. Don't do this. Don't go over here. Don't mess with this. Do these things. And a lot of times we as the business owners don't sit down and write those out and then train them on what those things are. So I have resentment to him or her because they're not doing their job like I want them to, even though I didn't tell them exactly how to do it and I never even showed them how to do it, but I want them to do it the way I want them to. That doesn't make sense. 150 flyers is not going to work, right? A half-ass operating agreement is going to piss them off, piss you off, and not give you the results that you want. Strike one, strike two, strike three. I played baseball. Boom, you're out. Right? Like innings over. They're fired. They quit, or you fired them, and you're back to square one.
Absolutely.
So when you hire people, make sure that they know exactly what their job is, and then you can hold them accountable because it's in writing, and you train them on what to do. Then you can hold them accountable of what they are doing or not doing, and figure out what they're really good at, and then what they suck at. Excuse me. The things that they suck at, you can either say you need to do better at this, or take it away and give it to somebody that's good at it. I made a huge mistake several years ago, almost in the beginning. I brought one of our guys named Brent over. He did quality control for a huge $100 million plus roofing company. They do all the track work in Arizona. Worked for him for 20 years. So quality control. So this dude knows more about roofing than I do, like piece of cake. And I needed a sales guy at the time. And I said, hey, do you want to come do sales? He's like, yeah, man. I want to come work for State 48. Like, I'm all in. Cool. Starts doing sales. 30, 60 days in, I'm like, dude, this dude sucks at sales. He's like diagnosed with the roof. Great, looks wonderful, like everything, but his paperwork sucked. He's not getting signed contracts. He's not hitting his goals. And I'm like, this dude is a piece of shit. Like, this guy sucks. And two things. One, I never really taught him how to sell. I assumed that he knew roofing, but if you know how to do roofing, you know how to sell. 100% incorrect. If you know the trade, but you don't know sales, and knowing the trade and knowing sales are two completely different animals. And so I was like, okay, so I had to own it. A lot of us as business owners, we don't own our shit. We want to blame our team members. No, it is your fucking fault. Like Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink, right? That book, one of the best books on planet Earth for leadership. Like, own your shit. No, this is my fault. I failed you. And then you have to realize, is he in the right seat on your bus? Right? Even the small buses have 16, 20 seats. Are they in the right seat, or are they just not a good fit and they need to get off the bus? Most of the time they're like, get off the bus. Well, what if they just sit in 4A instead of 19B?
Yeah.
Right. And then so I did that, and I was like, oh, cool. I was like, well, I know he knows roofing, so let's just have him do roofing and not sales. He's never done sales, right?
Yeah.
He didn't do sales at all for those 20 years. I was like, well, he's never done sales and he sucked at sales. Duh. Doesn't make sense why he should all of a sudden be killing it. But he's really good at roofing and the production side. So I was like, well, let's put him in the roofing side. He's my number one guy on my production team now. I trust him to do the hardest shit, the most complicated stuff.
Yep.
Freaking wizard. But he couldn't go sell, he couldn't sell anything if he wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just knowing but I had to have those hard conversations with him of what's working, what's not working. But once again, when I hired him, it was a gray area. It was a very vague, operating agreement or contract.
Yep.
So, and he was a very super humble guy. He's like, I'm so sorry I failed you. I'm so sorry you suck at my job. I'm like, no. This is a me problem. Like, I literally set you up for failure. What if you told yourself that as a business owner, right? You're like, okay, so you're going to come in and I'm going to put you in a position to where you're going to suck at your job. You're going to hate your job. And then you're going to want to quit. And then you're going to hate me. And it's 100% my fault. What do you say? Like, that's literally what we do as business owners.
Yeah.
So that'd be my number one thing is make sure your operating agreement, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, and on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Because then you're like, did they work? Did they work 6 or 8 or 10 hours today? Did they do what they're supposed to? Right.
Yeah.
And then if they don't, then you're checking GPSs and you're checking all
Oh,
their
yeah.
their CRM and their activity, and
Hmm.
like you're also micromanaging them instead of like, dude, you didn't. There's so much gray area. You gave them all that wiggle room. No, no, no. Here's what to do. Here's what not to do, and then let's go and execute.
I absolutely love that because we always talk about, because sometimes people come to me and they're like, yeah, my team sucks. And I'm like, okay, well, but before we say the team sucks, do all of the roles in your company have a clear job description with what their specific KPIs that they're managed to are? Do they know what success looks like for their role? Is it in writing that they actually have available to them that you've reviewed with them and that they've been able to ask questions on what that's supposed to be? And do you do regular one-on-ones with them so that you can review their performance, give them coaching, give them feedback? And 99.999% of the time, they're like, no, I'm not doing any of that. And I'm like, well, how are you going to blame them for not getting the result that you never made clear was the result that you were actually looking for, or that you verbally said on their first day and now they're 3 months in and you threw you opened the fire hose on them day one to onboard them and you told them the goals one time? Like, how can you expect that person is going to be successful when they have no other clarity? And the interesting thing is, like, I used to think, like, because I became an entrepreneur because I was like, I don't like the corporate, like, I don't want to, all that. And it's like, okay, well, the reason that like job descriptions and like all of that stuff exists is to create the clarity so that people can do their best work. Because when it's clear, they can actually go and run. When they know what winning looks like, they can go and win. But when it's, to your comment of like no gray areas, like when they're living in the gray, they're kind of like floating around, not knowing what they should be attacking in the business and what they shouldn't be, to that point of like what areas to not touch. Like clarity, we call it clarity as a whole. Like, how do you interact within the team and the things that you're, when do you grab the baton handoff versus, let the other person have the baton? And so I think that's such a big thing. And these, it's not to call out blue collar business owners, but it seems that a lot of, it's like this mindset of like, if
Call
you
them
want
out.
it
Call
done
us out,
right,
man.
you got to do it yourself. There's no good workers out there anymore. No one wants to do good quality work. It's like, and then you ask those questions and then they're doing none of that. It's like, what's your
Well,
accountability chart look like? What
right.
accountability? What?
So two things from what you said. So another part is when you're doing it, it's like we're very selfish people, right? So when you meet with your team members, it's what's in it for them.
Mm-hmm.
If there's nothing in it for them, like why the fuck would I do anything? Like I'm out,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like why'd you build a business? Oh, I want money. Okay, cool. I want freedom. Well, if you don't know what those are and you don't know, like we call it what makes them tick,
Yep.
like what gets that team member excited? Is it that Monday off? Is it picking up their kids at 3 o'clock? Is it that weekly vacation or
Mm-hmm.
that once a year vacation, like where they don't have to do anything and they literally leave their phone at the office? What does that look like? But if you don't have the conversation with them, you won't know, and it can create a very bad culture very very quickly, right? And that's what you want to make sure that you understand is like culture is everything. The winning mindset. It's funny talk about gray areas. What if you have gray area in sales and you try and go close somebody on anything, coaching, roofing, flooring, HVAC? You try and go close them, and there's gray area or any doubt, zero deal ever. If they have doubt, they will not go with you. And if they
Mm-hmm.
do, it's gonna suck. There's gonna be buyer's remorse, and it's the transaction's gonna go terrible. But most of the time, you won't even be able to have a terrible transaction because they're literally not going to go with you. They're going to go with somebody else that gave them that clarity. It's funny how that happens in sales, but we don't think it happens in our business. It's the exact same fucking thing. It
Mm-hmm.
does not change. Just the person you're selling, the consumer, is actually your team member and not Mrs. Smith in Power Ranch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's but like so to minimize, if you can get rid of all those gray areas, right? Like here's when you start, here's just like a job, right? Here's when we're gonna start. Here's the contract. Here's when our deposits due. Here's when we collect the balance. Here's when we're gonna start. Here's how long it's gonna take. Here's what to expect. Bop, 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 bop. The more clear you are, one, you're gonna get the deal, and two, everything will go more better for you and the consumer. Well, what about inside your business internally? Here's what you're going to do. Here's when you start working. Here's when you stop working. Here, like I said, the KPIs. Heaven forbid we mention that word, right? That's a whole different podcast, by the way. But like, here's the metrics that I need you to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And and also ask for feedback. Is there something that you're not comfortable with, or that you know you're going to fail at from day one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who taught me this, but I use it. I bring up our core values. I show them our core values, and I say, "Hey, here's our core values. Look at them for 5 or 10 minutes. I'll be right back. Hey, which of these? Not a yes or no question. Which of these? If you're in a struggle with any of these, which ones would you struggle with that I can help you from day one? I want to help you overcome and be better at these core values. We have 8. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and if someone says none of them, you're full of shit. Get out. Like I don't even hire them if they say none. Like no, like these two, like I'm not really good at, but I'd love to get better at it. You already know that these 2 core values, that not that you can't hire them, but like they're admitting to you that they're going to struggle with them. Then roll with that. Like, hey, what are your two best ones that you're going to absolutely kill it? Like if I gave core value of the week award, which one of these 2 would you just smash it in? They're like, oh, these 2, right? And that's a simple 5-10 minute conversation.
Yep.
But that way, you know, like where their strengths and where their weaknesses are, and you continue to go. But I love you said with the baton. A lot of times we have the like track, right? You have the baton, you're passing the baton off. Some people like, I'm not letting go, and they weld it. They literally get duct tape, or they weld the baton to their hand, and it's there, and you have to cut off their arm in order to get it. Or they're like, well, I like this baton. Here, let me go get another one so you can have that one. I don't think you can do that in track. I'm not a track guy. But we try and do that, right? So being able to delegate and give that leadership or that authority. I think another in blue collar, you mentioned it before, Cody. In blue collar, we struggle to give that authority to other people because we don't trust ourselves, because we haven't trained them to be able to give that authority to them to be another salesman, be another technician, do the bookkeeping, look at my bank accounts, right? That kind of stuff. Like being able to pass that baton off. You have to, if you trust them and you train them, you'll be more willing to pass that baton off to X person in X category, and then you do that, and you do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. You're always replacing yourself, always.
Yes, absolutely. So there's 2 things from what you're saying that I'm a big fan on the alignment of like what that team member wants, whether it's maybe taking days off or whether it's more money. I used to think earlier on in my entrepreneurship journey that everyone wanted just more money. When I would actually sit down and go through like PPFs or personal and professional financial goals, I got from certain team members, they didn't even bring up wanting to make more money. They're like, what would be a big win for me is like if I could work remote this month of the year so I can go visit family that lives in another state, that would be like the biggest blessing ever. And I'm like, they don't want just a bonus or profit share or making more or a raise. Like they just want to go work remote and do work that they can do remote because they do just computer work. It's like, it's funny because people don't know what their team's goals are. And so when you can like, carrot and like help move them along, not in a manipulative way, but to like help them achieve what they actually want within your organization and align it to the goals that you have as a business owner as well. I think the other thing on the core values too is like, I used to years ago think like core values was cheesy, and I was just like, I don't need core values. But it's like, we hire, fire, manage, and promote according to core values, because as organizations get bigger and like these blue collar guys, you need to know this, like as you get bigger, aren't going to have this like strong personal relationship with every new person on your team. Like you'll meet people and you're like, I didn't even know this person was hired, because you're building depth in your business. And so it's like, having those core values, I say it's like your mission for your company is like where you're planting the flag of like, this is where we're going. Our vision is like, this like overarching like theme of like who we want to be like as a company. And then our core values, I tell our team, is like, this is how we behave on the way to achieving our mission. And you're either in line with this behavior or you're not in line with this behavior. And I used to think years ago it was cheesy, but it's like, that's actually the way to get people moving in the same direction.
Well, and you realize that there's so many emotions, and each individually, we all have a ton of emotion, good, bad, otherwise, personal, professional, psychological, whatever, right? And Brandon Dawson teaches that there's no emotion in business. And once I really like understood what he meant, he's like, that's why domestic violence is so crazy with cops. That's why they hate domestic violence, because there's so much history and there's so much emotion involved in it, right? With a robbery, there's no emotion most of the time, right? It's like, go in, take the money. It's not like I'm going to go after Mrs. Smith in the bank. It's like, no, I just want the money, right? But when it comes to not having emotion with the core values, there's no emotion behind the core values. it is what it is, right? And the
Yep.
core values, when you can say, instead of saying like attacking somebody personally, it's like, no. Here, I'm not attacking you personally. I'm just saying that you and your actions are not aligning with core value 2, 4, and 7, or core value 5. And you have to be aligned with all of our core values, because when you're dealing with, like, I have 85 employees, dude. Like, you can't, and so they're like, well, what's the Bible for your business? Here's our core values, and we hire you based off of these. You agree to these when you worked here, and now you're compromising them. So either get your shit together, or if you're not going to be realigning yourself with these core values, you need to leave, because these other 80 people are aligning themselves with these and are trying to maintain that standard, that culture of these core values. But you think you can compromise them because you're special, you're this or you're that. That's not how it works. Then the animosity and the entitlement, the resentment kicks in, and then all of a sudden it's a freaking, it's a business on fire. And so when core values are huge, and that's what you hire and fire off of them, and no emotion ever, because you're not attacking the person or even approaching the person. You're approaching their actions in the business in order to accomplish the goals. I love what you said before. Most people don't even know what their goals are. So like, I want to lose weight. That is not a goal. That is a statement.
Yep.
I want to lose 40 pounds by October 11th. That is a goal with a deadline. So one, like, you need to have a goal with that has a dollar amount or a value or something to it, right? Increase your closing ratios, increase your ticket, whatever, open rate, whatever it is for what your goal is. And then also focus on deadlines. Like, we have to have deadlines. And we say, hey, like, my wife got on me all the time, take out the trash. And I wouldn't take out the trash until like 11 o'clock at night. She'd take it out 8:30 and be like, dude, you piece of crap, why did you take the trash out? I'm like, dude, I was like, the trash guy's not coming until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
It's a thing. She's like, okay. And so we agreed that, like, dude, you got to give me a deadline. True story. And so, like, hey, before you go to bed, that could be 8:30 p.m., it could be 11:30 p.m., could be 2 a.m., right? Depending on my day. And I'm like, so the deadline was, so take the trash out. Cool. Okay, when? Before you go to bed. So the second I put my head on my pillow, that shit better be at the street. If not, then I'm compromising, what I said I was going to do. But deadlines are huge, right? Friday by 5 o'clock, Monday by 10 a.m., whatever the case may be. It goes for both male and female, but especially men. We are driven by, like, get this done by this day, this time, and you'll be amazed of whatever that deadline is. It's funny how we get it done. If you give me a day and a time to get something done, 99% of the time, it's going to get done by that day and by that time. If you say get it done, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, dare I say years as a business owner. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. When? Oh, I'm just gonna put it on my to-do list, and it never gets done.
Absolutely. It's a lot of what we've talked about. It's like clarity, having clarity of your goals, clarity with your team, clarity with, what winning looks like. It's like having it with yourself internally and, as your company as a whole, and then within the different roles in the company. And I think a lot of people they just don't spend enough time doing that. And then they wonder why their business is like the repeat of the same year over and over again. I always think it's funny, and like you're crushing so many other roofing companies that have been around for, probably 10, 20 years longer. And there's these guys that they're like, I've been in business for 20 years or 30 years. And it's like, I would argue that they've been in business for 1 year that they just relived 20 times or 30 times. They're not actually doing things different. They just are kind of like repeating the same cycle over and over again. So,
Well, just think about like the podcast, Cody, right? You're like, hey, let's hop on a podcast. I'm like, dude, let's do it. What if you just said, and you don't say anything, you agree to it, I agree to it, but then the podcast would never happen.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, we need to narrow down a date. Okay, let's, like, we threw back dates back and forth. Can't do this one, can't do that one, you can't do this one, whatever, cool. Okay, then we get a date. Okay, cool, get a date. Well, normally a podcast should start at the same time, so you're not on at 6 a.m. and I'm on at 4 p.m. That probably won't work, right? Okay, cool, so we have a date. Okay, and then what time are we going to do X thing? Okay, we're going to do this at 10 a.m. Okay, cool. So we agreed to doing something. We agreed on the date to have it done and the time to have it done, or how long it would take to have. And then you and I didn't discuss this, but stereotypically it's 45 to 60 minutes.
Yep.
You know how easy that is? Like, just take that and use that everywhere. Okay, what's my goal? When do you want it done? Who's here are the things that you need in order to get it done, and then who's doing those tasks too. Don't forget, because you shouldn't be doing all those things. There's 4 or 5 things. Are you doing all 5? No. I need her to, or him to do these things. Well, why don't you say something? You got to tell us, man, right? So you got to tell them that and then put a date on it, put a deadline on it, and then that's how you and speed it up. Speed it up. Money loves speed. Whatever you're doing, do it faster. You're doing 150 flyers, do 150 flyers a day or an hour, right? Not a freaking quarter or a year, right? Simple math. Simple math. If Cody posts once a day and I post 4 times a day, I'm gonna smoke Cody's ass.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, Cody does 100 push-ups a day. I do 10 push-ups a day. Cody's gonna be jacked, and I'm not, and I'm gonna be sore, right?
Yeah.
It's simple math, but I think we overcomplicate it, and we need to take it down to elementary status.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, as we're wrapping up here, Jason, I like this question of what if you could go back and give yourself advice, when you were, starting State 48, what would be the advice you'd go back and give yourself to, achieve the results that you've achieved, faster, as we wrap up the episode here?
To achieve the success that I have faster. Well, 10 million in 4 years is pretty cool. That's pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
amazing. And compared to most companies, they're that's unheard of, or that's like you said, 0.001% have done that or can do that. And then I talked to people like Brandon Dawson. He's like, oh yeah, we did. We're on our 5th year and we did 150 million in 4 years. And I'm like, damn it. I'm like, he's literally 10xing what I'm doing, because I feel like, dude, 10 million in 4 years, that's amazing. He's like, we did 35 last year. And I'm like, and he and I started almost the same time. And I'm like, freaking hell.
I mean, he also started with 100+ million in his pocket and an influencer with millions and millions and millions of people on an email list. But that's just a side thing.
Yeah. But even then, okay, let's say he does half of it.
Yeah.
Still 5x's me, right? But the principle of it being is add whatever you're doing, add more commas and more zeros, and then however long you think it's going to take, try and cut it in half.
Mm.
That'd be my thing. Okay, cool. I want to get to. What's your goal? I want to get to 3 million this year. Okay, what are you at? I'm at. Most people they don't set big enough goals. They don't reach, because it's scary, or they don't know anybody that's ever done it before. So it's this uncharted territory. It's called the blue ocean strategy. Have you ever read that book?
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, the sharks just killing each other and going to town, and it's red, right? They're all just eating each other. Then the blue ocean strategy, you go to the Jamaicas and the Costa Ricas and the all those places, and beautiful blue ocean. Why? Because dude, you go to Rocky Point, everybody and their mom's at freaking Rocky Point, right? Or San Diego. Nobody really brags about the water in San Diego because there's gajillions of people. But you go to these huge, crazy, awesome places that are hours away and on a 1-hour boat ride, and you can see 100 feet down and see all this beautiful, beautiful fish and all this stuff. A lot of us we don't want to do much more than what our parents did. We don't want to do much more than what our current friends did. We don't want to do much more than X, right? And so the power of the 5 people that you hang out with, it's a real thing. And that's why most people I want to own a business. Okay, I more or less 5 or 6 of my buddies, they all own a business, and they all do it. How much? $500,000 to $3 million. Cool. Come join the circle. But if you do more than $3 million, we're gonna make fun of you, and you're too cool, and you're doing too much, and you have too nice of stuff, and you need to stop it. You need to come down to us. Come down 10%. Come hang out with us. Not let me push you another 100%. Just stay, dude. Get comfortable, man. Be grateful for what you have, dude. Shut up. Go away.
Yeah.
You're listening. You don't take advice from broke people. Broke financially, broke in their marriage, broke in their relationships, broke physically, they're fat, right? Don't take advice from a dude that's 300 pounds and fat and overweight. You never do that. You would never walk into a gym. By the way, that dude ain't even in the gym, number one, right? But if he was, you would not go to be like, can you be my trainer? I'll pay you $500 a month to train me. Give me your diet. I'll meet you at the gym every day. Show me. You would never do that. You would never do, but we do that with businesses. And we take advice from people who have never been where you want to go or have what you want to get.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so true. Jason, man, this has been great, man. Like, I love the energy. It's been super, super fun and exciting, like talking through this stuff. And it's like, man, like it's just gets me fired up, hearing the passion behind the statements that you have, man. So and I appreciate you coming on. So where can people find you? Where do you want people to go? Because we'll make sure that we'll put it in the show notes as well. If you want them to go to the podcast or your website, or yeah, where do you want people to come connect with you?
Honestly, just keep it simple. Jason the Roofer. I can give you, all kinds of stuff. I have a book, I have a podcast, I have a coaching program, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Jason the Roofer would start there, and then once you start there, that's where the cocaine is. That's where you'll get addicted once you join. Once you start following me, you'll be like, okay, like there's some good nuggets here. So people like you and others that are crushing it and making moves. Those are people that I hang out with. Those are people that I do podcasts with, that I do events with, that I interview. Because if you follow me, there's not a scarcity mindset, and there's no holding back. I have no filter, and I want you to grow. If you hang out with me, talk to me, collaborate with me, any of those things, I will push you until you freaking break, and then I'll pick you up, and then I'll push you again. So be careful. But if you want it, let's roll, man. Jason the Roofer on Instagram.
Awesome. I love it. So for everyone listening, check that out. We'll have it in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.